If barbers only understood this right here, they would be able to raise their prices. I was able to raise my prices 2 times already and save up enough money to actually open up that barber shop right there. Now, we're gonna be going over this picture right here, because if you understand this picture, you're gonna be able to raise your prices faster than you believe, and you'll be able to do it multiple times so that you can continue to make more money, so you don't have to be stuck behind the chair forever. Now, we're gonna break this down, but if you cannot sit down and focus for the next 15 to 20 minutes to actually learn this stuff, you're cooked, you're done, and you're probably gonna never be able to actually raise your prices because you can't focus on anything, and you're never gonna achieve anything big like opening up a barbershop in the future, all right? So this picture right here, if you do not understand this picture right here and the relationship between the water that is going into the bucket, the water that is coming out of the bucket, and the water that's in the bucket, you're never, ever, ever going to be able to raise your haircut prices. But before we get into this picture, we need to get through some other stuff, because how do you know that I'm not just blowing smoke, right? So you can see right here, December of 2022, this is what I was able to make in that last month of the year. And then that's what I cleared for the month overall. And that was the first year that I was actually a licensed barber. But what about the next year, right? It could have been a fluke. So you see December 23, I actually, right there, you can see 18,323. And then total was 168, 297 and 56 cents. Now, what are these things and where do they even come from in the first place? These are P&Ls. They pulled this directly from your bank statements. Now, what about 2024? What about last year? Last year, you can see that's what I did for that month. That's just 1 month. And then you can see my total for the year was over 200. Now you can see over that, that's going to pass 500,000 in just 1, 2, and 3 years. All right. So, and just to show you guys that we're not out here doing 1.5 to 2 hour, 3 hour haircuts, you can see this is a week worth of my schedules, where you can see that I have 45-minute time slots for a haircut and beard, and 30-minute time slot for just a haircut. So that's just because we're learning how to be efficient, and that's how you know that I'm not just blowing smoke. Now, this is what this picture essentially breaks down to, right? So this picture breaks down into 3 things. It breaks down into new clients, current clients, and old clients, clients that you don't even cut anymore. So when it comes to new clients is represented by the water that is coming into the bucket. You do that through your marketing. And you have the water that is still in the bucket. That is the client that you retain. That's your current clientele. So new is right here. And then you have currents right here. And then old, this right here is all the clients that you're losing for 1,000 reasons in the world, but you can see you have a lot of holes in your bucket. If you don't understand this, you will never, ever, ever be able to raise your prices, because you'll never actually be in demand, and you'll always be having to build a clientele because you don't understand this right here in the relationship and how to actually do all of these things simultaneously. This is why, because if you cannot keep clients coming into your business through marketing, if you cannot keep them because they're leaving, then what happens is that your bucket is always going to be empty, and you'll always be, maybe 20%, 30%, maybe 40% booked out. And you can go ahead and raise your prices, but then the rest of your clients are going to leave you. You're going to make less money in less time, and then you're going to be overpriced, not have any of the skill sets that you need. So you end up being stuck, and then you go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years without ever being able to raise your prices. And you get super emotional. You do a bunch of stuff. You have no business structure. So we're trying to avoid this, right? So this is the link. This is the connection that we need to understand here. So your new clients is a result of your marketing, right? Your marketing is going to bring new clients into your chair. And we're going to talk about each one of these things in depth, these 3 things that we need to understand to solve this problem. Then we go into current clientele. Current clientele is just a fancy kind of indication of your retention. How good are you at retaining clients and keeping them in your chair, not in somebody else's? And then old, right? Churn is a fancy business word for how many clients you're losing every single month, right? Everybody has a churn rate. Nobody's perfect. Every client's going to leave you, or clients are definitely going to leave you, and they leave you for different reasons. Some of those things are even out of your control. Like if they move, 10 states away from you, they're probably not going to fly back to get a haircut. But there are a lot of ways that you can reduce your churn, right? Because churn ends up being like a percentage. Maybe it's like 2 to 10 or 15 or 20 to 30%, right? There's ways that you can reduce your churn and bring it down so that you can retain more clients, because ultimately you want your percentage of new clients to be up, and you want your percentage of your clients that you're losing or your churn rate to be down, because that means you have a growing clientele. If you're getting more clients that you're losing and you're still able to retain them, that means that your clientele is going to build and your demand is going to grow. But usually what happens is the exact opposite, where people aren't getting a bunch of new clients, they're barely keeping any clients, and they have a churn rate as well. So then they never end up growing in the first place. All right, so let's get into it. So new clients. What we have to understand is that, especially in 2025, right, this year, is that barbers are totally bent out of shape and they don't even understand what they're really aiming for. And I think it's just because of bad teachers, if I'm being real with you. Bad teachers, bad school systems. Everybody has a social media account and an opinion, right? Now, understand this. As a barber, you care about clients. What you don't care about is followers. Barbers will go out of their mind to gain followers, but not go out of their mind, not really push to gain clients. Followers don't pay your bills like clients pay your bills. You have to understand the difference, especially when it comes to, for example, the type of content that you're posting on social media. You'll do stuff to get followers, but if a client in your area actually saw that, they actually wouldn't book with you off of the stuff that you're posting. Right? It may be you trying to be funny, you trying to impress other barbers, stuff like that. And also, even how you market on certain platforms affects it, because, certain people are going to be on TikTok that aren't going to be on Facebook, and certain people are going to be on Facebook that aren't going to be on these other platforms. So when it comes to this right here, we have to know how to market to clients, how to make our content stick out to clients, and how to get clients on what we're doing. And we need to prioritize this versus this, right? Even to this day, if you look at my social media, having achieved all those numbers that I just showed you, the barbershop that we're in right now, having achieved all those things, you look at my social media accounts and they're whack. My social media accounts are maybe 3,000 followers here, 500 followers here. And I used to hate that, right? I used to resent that. But honestly, like, you think about it, and I think it's even more proof behind, you don't need to go viral to get busy. You don't need to get viral to raise your prices. You have to understand the business side. Now, another thing that we have to understand is that our clients and our clientele and our ability to do great service is going to be a better reflection of on our bank account than just our followers. There's people that you follow right now in the barber industry that are completely broke, right? That do not make money, that do not have damn near a dollar to their name. They have a huge following, which is great. But when it comes to this, when it comes to some real bank statements, some real results, some real P&Ls, all that type of stuff, when it comes to this, it's not going to go through at all, right? Especially when it comes right here, it's not going to actually move the needle. What you want ultimately is you want to focus on clients. That is going to affect your bank account, and that's going to be a better result of anything else than if you just focus on followers all day. And ultimately, the reason why is because we need to be result focused, not ego focused. The more followers you focus on getting, yes, you will be ego focused. You're just focused on feeling good and getting a bunch of likes and stuff like that. But you're not actually focused on what's going to move your business. And that's what we want to focus on. Now, let's talk about this, the rocket ships that are going to actually go and build our clientele. Now, when it comes to getting new clients, there's the different rocket ships, there's different, skill sets, different, platforms essentially that you invest your time into to learn how to grow your business. So when it comes to this, right, you have Google, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have like cards. For cards, you could replace this with, let's just say, let me erase this, guerrilla marketing. So that's like the flyers, the cards, holding a sign outside, stuff like that, right? Even like business to business events, community events, all that stuff falls under guerrilla. Now, check me out. Each one of these things are a skill set. All these skill sets take time. They take time to learn, time to get better, and time to get results, right? Now, some of these are better than others. Some of these will build your clientele faster and easier than others will. Now, what I really want you guys to understand is that when it comes to this, you can't focus on all of these rocket ships at the same time because you end up building none of them, and none of them really have like that takeoff trajectory to really win. Like in my first year, I only focused on Google and Facebook. Like these were my main two that I focused on. So I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and I didn't really do too much of that. I just focused on these, and that's what really helped my clientele build. Whatever you're going to focus on, you have to really dial in and focus on them a lot to really get that result. Like, for example, there's some people that only focus on Instagram and TikTok, and they're going to grow. They won't grow in these other areas, but they'll grow in these areas, and then they'll get the result that they want. But the first thing is that your marketing isn't dialed in. It's not focused. You're not like really, really sharp. You're trying everything tomorrow and expecting everything to work. All of these can work. All of these can build your clientele, but if you do all of them, you end up doing none of them well enough to get the result that you ultimately want. So what I would suggest on understanding these, right? And when you understand these, you're going to understand some are better than others. I would tell all of you from my experience, all of your energy is here and here. This is what you guys focus on because you guys want followers. You care about your ego. You don't care about clients. You don't care about your bank account. You don't care about results. You care about followers. How can I get more followers? But from my experience, because all barbers are focused on ego and followers and all that type of stuff, since they focus here, you know what we do? We focus here. Get all these free clients. We focus here. We get all these free clients. And then once we master the free version of Google and the free version of Facebook, what do we do next? We go to the paid version and we run ads, because now that we understand these platforms on an organic free level, now we can understand how to run ads to them. And we're getting all of these everyday clients right here, right? That's really going to build our clientele and build everything here. While all of y'all is focused on getting 100,000 views of people that's not even in your city. Versus if I post here or I post here, you know what's going to happen? When I'm posting here, all of the people that are in my city are seeing this stuff. All the people that are here, and here, some of them are in my city, but a lot of them also aren't, right? That's why you have, whenever you guys see the consultation videos and you see, oh, he drove 10 hours for a haircut. Yeah, that's cute. But like nobody's going to do that every other week and actually be like a real client for you, right? Versus this, you're talking about real clients that are actually going to build your business. Now, you have to focus on some of these and understand why some are better than others. Now you start to understand the water going into the bucket. Now, when it comes to retention, right? When it comes to retention, think about it like this. With retention, you have to understand that you are the barber. You, as the barber, is responsible for retaining and building your clientele. Now, the reason why is because when you really have your product and your service locked in, you are naturally going to retain and build clientele just doing that. Because we have something called a word of mouth worthy service, a service that is so good that people don't leave and then they always come back, right? So this is what I want you guys to do. When it comes to retention as a barber, you have to lock in these three things. You have to lock in your skill set, your service, and then also you just want to have a good mindset on your shoulders because it helps you to actually show up consistently. So for your skill set, as in you cutting hair behind the chair, you as the barber in your business, you have to make sure that you're doing these tailored haircuts, because these tailored haircuts you can charge more for versus doing these cookie cutter basic haircuts. You have to make sure that you're efficient. The reason why you need to be efficient is because efficient allows you to have this quality and quantity. That's what you want. You want quality and quantity when you're efficient. And then reliable is showing up reliably. There's so many barbers that because they're self-employed, they feel like, oh, I don't need to show. I have my own schedule. I can do whatever I want. And they never follow a consistent work schedule. So then they never end up building that clientele because they're not just reliable. They can't even do the basics. And yet you want to figure out how to master a social media platform. You can't even show up to work on time. Like, it's goofy as hell. Now, the next one is your service. A lot of barbers almost overemphasize on your skill set, but they underemphasize on the service. And to be honest with you, like, service is really what's going to change the game for you, because that is really what builds and maintain your clientele, is how you treat people. A lot of clients, since they don't go to barber school, they don't know haircutting as detailed as a barber does, but they do know how they get treated. They do know if they feel respected, if they feel valued, if they feel important. So Usually barbers, they over-index on doing the blurriest fade in the world, and they under-index on how they treat people and how they respect people. Now, that comes down to your communication skills. A lot of barbers are very introverted and they don't know how to communicate. They don't understand social skills, right? And then it comes down to your professionalism. Some barbers dress horribly. Some barbers come into the shop, smell like weed, or they cuss around kids. They do a bunch of craziness, right? They're just not professional. Their stations is never clean. Professionalism is slacking. And they don't even understand really what is a word of mouth worthy service. A word of mouth worthy service is a service that is so good that it keeps that client in the chair and it brings more people with them because now they're marketing on your behalf. They're telling these people about you. The friends that they have, family members, and coworkers. All those people here are the ones that they're going to be bringing. So just in your service alone, you should be retaining and building your clientele just off of the service alone. And then that water that's pouring onto that bucket with the holes, right? All that here is just even more fire onto the flame because it doesn't matter if you can market yourself really well and get a bunch of new clients if you're going to end up losing all of the clients because your service is trash or just even the product that you're giving out is trash. Haircuts could be trash too. And I think mindset is huge. I think mindset just helps you to show up consistently. So like I always will talk to my guys about like, what's your why? Do you understand the value of your clients? And do you understand delayed gratification? Because if somebody tells you that you can go through your barber career without actually really getting some type of trench work done, like really paying your dues, I think they're selling you a false promise. Now, it could look different for everybody. Paying your dues could be building your clientele in a new city. It could be doing some free haircuts to improve your skill set. It could be working extra hours in the shop. Whatever it is, you have to be able to practice delayed gratification to get that trench work done that's really going to build your skill set, whether it's a marketing skill set or a haircutting skill set. Now, your why is just going to help you to continue to keep on going. Even when you really don't feel your best, you're going to continue to keep on going because you understand your why. If you don't have a why, you're not going to be locked in. Now, ACV. What is ACV? Let's talk about ACV because a lot of barbers don't understand ACV, and that's why it negatively affects your mindset. Your ACV is annual customer value, right? So annual customer value. Annual customer value. What is your annual customer value? So if a client comes in every 2 weeks, that means that they come in 25 times a year. Then let's say they pay you $40 a haircut. That means that over the course of the year, that client is worth $1,000. Right there, look at that. That is the ACV. So that ACV of the client would have been $1,000. And when you understand this, it makes you want to retain and build your clientele a lot more because you don't want to lose $1,000 client. Also, it makes you want to build your clientele to the moon. Now let's talk about churn rate. So your churn rate is how you stop losing clients. Churn rate, now you're always going to lose clients no matter what because there's just things you can't control, right? But I like to see it in the terms of S&S. S&S just stands for service and software. You're going to stop losing clients as soon as you start improving your service and as you start implementing software that helps you instead of hurting you. A lot of barbers, their biggest fall is actually their booking app. Their booking app is supposed to be like your best assistant, and yet a lot of barbers' booking apps actually end up like killing you, actually destroying you, right? So let's talk about it. Your service, we've already talked about service. We don't have to get into that. But let's get into this. First of all, what systems do you have in your business and what booking app are you using? A lot of barbers' booking apps are selling their clients to other barbers. You don't even own your clientele. If you tried to get a file with all of your clients' information, you wouldn't be able to get it. It's making your client download an app to have to sit with you. It's charging your client stupid fees for them to book an appointment with you. And it's almost like a marketplace. Some of these booking apps are like dating apps for clients where they can look at all the different barbers, all the different reviews that they got, all the different pictures, and just date around. So now a client that never even knew about this booking app now is exposed to this booking app because of you. And now they're going to leave you because they're on a booking app and they see another barber that has better pictures, better reviews, and cheaper prices. And they're available today at 3 p.m. to give them that fade that they wanted. And you don't have that space because you're booked up. You just lost that client. Goofy, right? So you want to look at a booking app that's going to help you retain clients, not a booking app that's going to hurt you. And a booking app is going to allow you to do, recurring appointments for those clients that like to come in consistently, or just allows you to rebook their next appointment for them. Now, in terms of systems, one of the best systems that I've actually started implementing that's helped me to retain a bunch of my clientele as I gotten a lot busier was actually just as simply as like a text blast feature. So a text blast feature, essentially what it is, to explain it in simple terms, is you press one button. You press one button, right? As soon as you press that button, you just attach a message where you type a bunch of words out, and that gets sent to every single one of your clients. That's a text blast, and you send it out maybe every 3 weeks. And when you send it out every 2 and every 3 weeks, what happens? They stay loyal a lot more often because you're still being convenient to them in their schedule. So to overview, right? We have this right here. So this right here is the water that's going into the bucket. That is a reflection of new clientele. You have the water that is in the bucket. That is a reflection of the clientele you're keeping week to week. And you have all this water that's coming out. That's reflective of the clients that you're losing for multiple reasons. What you want to do is get as much of this new water coming in, retain as many new clients, and reduce how many clients you're losing. Because ultimately what happens then is you are in demand. When you're in demand, remember, when supply is low, demand is high. And then you get to the promised land where you can choose where you want your career to ultimately go. Do you want to work less in the shop? Do you want to work more in the shop? Do you want to keep the same prices? Do you want to raise prices, make more in less time? Do you want to spend more time with family? Do you want to save and start to get to a barbershop? Whatever it is, when you're in demand, you have leverage to act on some of that freedom that you earned as a barber. But if you don't have this figured out, you're never going to be able to raise your prices. You'll never be able to ultimately get to that next level in your career and give yourself that raise. When I did this for me, when I raised my prices for the first time after being in demand, this was the difference I had. From this number all the way to this number. That came, so what is that? That is what? Around this much, 40 a year? That came just off of my price raise. Now I worked for it. I earned it, right? And this is what my schedule looked like. My schedule looked like this, right? I was cutting. Here I was eating my lunch, right? But I earned it. But that's because I understood this. Now, if you ultimately want to go ahead and start actually growing your barber business, getting more clients, keeping them longer, getting a better booking app, we give a free booking app to our barbers, all that type of stuff, then I want you to look in the description below. You're going to see a link to the free school community. Check it out if you want to. If not, don't. But if anything, that is how we break down this simple picture and how it will get you closer to raising your prices. See you guys on the next one.